Hi, my name is Gerhard Gschwandtner with Selling Power TV.
I'm Anthony Iannarino.
Anthony, we just did a survey of 100 sales executives around the world, and we got some very interesting numbers I'd like to share. Here's a question. How satisfied are you with the growth of your Twitter followers? And you can see by their responses that only 14% are really satisfied and 86% are dissatisfied. How do you relate to that?
I think that when anyone comes onto Twitter, they immediately think that the most important number is the number of followers. And I'm not sure that that's the right lens to view how you're doing using social media. I think that the right lens is, do I have the right people following me? Is this my audience? Is this the group of people that I want to communicate? And then I think when you start with that, you want to look at that metric first and say, are they the right people? But then after that, you do actually have to see some growth. If your Twitter following is not growing, then you're probably doing a number of things wrong. And the first thing I would say is it's a tool where reciprocity counts. So if you want to be followed, you can go out and you can search. For example, you might use hashtag sales or hashtag selling or hashtag sales op shop. If you go out and you follow people that are already interested in what you're interested in and that you can share with, it's easier to raise the number of people following you.
So let's start out with setting measurable goals before we talk about how to. And here's a list that you and I have created. Number one, how many followers do you want by when? Number two, how many tweets do you want to send out every day? How many tweets do you send out, Anthony?
I send probably somewhere between 20 and 30 a day.
Wow. What makes you tweet 20 times a day, and what do you tweet about?
Well, one of the fastest ways to increase the number of people following you is to tweet content that's relevant. So I think the struggle for sales organizations and salespeople is if you can only tweet your original content, if you can only tweet something that you wrote or something that's a link to your site, you're going to be very constrained in how often you can tweet. But if you have other people that you're following with content that's relevant to your audience, that's relevant to your customers, that's relevant to your prospects, you can tweet more. And since I speak on sales and I consult on sales, I have a lot of people that I follow that produce great sales content. So I'm tweeting all the time and I'm pointing people, for example, at Mark Hunter, he's at The Sales Hunter. I point people at Charlie Green, who's at Charles H. Green. And I'm always sharing content that my audience finds valuable. That's this community of salespeople. They're concerned with big ideas. And so I'm tweeting always things that lead them to good ideas that might help them in their job.
So here are our 6 ideas to growing Twitter followers. Content excellence, and you spoke to that. Share images, videos, PDFs, research, podcasts. I like to share slide shares or point people to videos. Or there's great research by Aberdeen, by IDC, by McKinsey & Company. And I think those are very tweetable companies that you want to associate with. But my view is to keep self-promotion to only about 30, 40%. What is your view on that?
I think that's too high. I actually think it should probably be 10 to 20%, and maybe you can get one tweet that's completely self-promotional to every 10 tweets that you're pointing to other content. And you can tweet to other content more than one time as well. So for example, Gerhard, when you put out a great sales op shop video, I can tweet that 4 or 5 times because everybody's not sitting there going through my stream at that minute. I can bring them back to that later.
And another good idea is to automate the distribution, but not the tweets. Do you use Hootsuite for distributing the tweets throughout the day?
I do use Hootsuite.
So what is your practice? You spend maybe a half an hour in the morning and then set those 20 tweets to appear throughout the day? Is that it?
I like to do my social media work in the morning, and I think this is a good practice because we're talking to sales organizations here. It's a good practice to put that work in a block and to automate those tweets, do the work at the beginning, and then you can set them up and you don't have to spend all day trying to find something to tweet and pull yourself out of other work.
We clearly established the fact that Twitter is not a channel to push out information, but to educate people, to help people, and to share. So we sort of raise the collective level of intelligence of the community. Do you agree that Twitter is about collective improvement in your mind?
It is, and it's about conversation. I mean, and this is what makes the social media toolkit so valuable, is that I can share something and you could say, hey, I have an idea about that video, and you can start a dialogue and have a conversation around it. The old school marketer in all of us wants to say, this is the channel where we blast ideas at our prospects, right? We're going to talk about us all the time, and we're going to share and share and share. But that's the fastest way to burn people out on Twitter. You're right. It's more about the conversation. It's about education and not so much pushing.
So let's talk about the idea of listening to customers. Listen what they think about and what they say. Do you set a page on Hootsuite where you follow your customers?
I do, and I think that that's one of the most important tools that a salesperson or a sales organization can use. It's to come up with lists to say, these are prospects that I want to follow, and maybe you can even put them into tighter buckets than that, prospects in this vertical. So you can listen to their conversation, look at what they're looking at, read what they're reading, and if they're sharing links and they're sharing ideas, you can get a good idea of what's important to them and what's on their mind. So when you do reach out to connect, you can connect around some idea that they're already engaged in.
And here we have a quick slide on how to track your competition on Twitter, which is very important. You want to monitor your competitors' tweets. You can do it with Hootsuite. You can use Twitter Counter, and you can track your competitors' growth rate. And then here's a good idea. Social Pro is a tool where you can view your competition's followers and then follow them, and they follow you. So in a subtle way, you can gain and grow business by having your competitors' followers follow you.
I wasn't even aware of that tool. That sounds awesome. I mean, you can at least capture some mind share then, right?
Absolutely.
Or try.
Yeah, because there are so many people out there in various stages of the buying journey. And if somebody begins to follow your competitor, then you may reasonably suspect that they're interested in educating themselves. And they're probably not aware of your product. They're probably not aware that there's a whole category. And I think it's a cool tool, Social Pro.
I'm going to check it out.
Let's talk about content distribution. There are 3 tools that I have discovered that are really awesome, and Hootsuite, of course, is one of them. Buffer is another one. Do you use Buffer?
I use Buffer all the time. The great thing about Buffer is that if you're searching the web and you find something interesting and you want to share it, but you don't want to go into Hootsuite and spend the time hooking that up, you can just click Buffer, and it says, tell me how often you want these to go out during the day. I have mine set for 6 times throughout the day, and it will automatically just start filling the bucket with those 6 particular times based on anything that you click on. So it's super fast, and because you can just put a link right at the top of your browser, a button, you can click it and automatically dump it into Buffer app. And that way, if you're out browsing, you don't load up 8 links in 4 minutes. You can have that spread out throughout the day.
Let's share a couple of resources that I think our audience might be interested in if they want to learn more about how to become Twitter superstars. Here is a website called All Twitter. That's a professional blog, 100% dedicated to news and tips about Twitter, and it's put out by Media Bistro. And then there are a number of books. I don't know whether you know them, but there's the old Twitter for Dummies book and The Tower of Twitter. And of course, Michael Hyatt has a great book called Platform, Get Noticed in a Noisy World. Do you know any of those books?
Yeah, I read Platform. It's a really good book, and it's a very good how-to manual if you're just getting started in social media.
Thank you, Anthony. Let's expand this. We can share our research with the audience. So share your questions with us, tweet to us, and we publish our Twitter handles. And we would like to extend that into a greater learning experience where we all get together and share our collective intelligence around Twitter.
Sounds good. I'm at Anarino, and he is at Gerhard20.
Thank you, Anthony.
All right, thank you, Gerhard.